What's happening, everybody? It's your man Dame D NYDC. If you watching this right now, you know it's Monday night. Brand new episode, two mics up. And listen, this is the best way to end June. June, man, Men's Health Month. I have a brother that's joining us tonight that's really in the skincare game for melanated individuals like myself and for some of you watching. And I think it's really important to have this conversation because honestly, when this came across our desk, we talked about it internally, thinking about it as a young man, we never really had this conversation in our home. It's kind of like take it for granted. We use some of the old school, I had some of the elders, thank goodness, that kind of use some old school herbal, remedies and different things to keep your face fresh, drinking a lot of water and cranberry juice and all of these different things and concoctions that was made at home. But we have a professional, we're living in the 21st century, and we have a brother that's going to educate us and share some tips and things with us this evening. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to put your hands together and welcome to the other mic tonight, Mr. Aaron Pankey. Aaron, how you doing, brother? How are you?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Hey, man, I look, I can't complain, bro, man. We here, the Lord has allowed us to see another day. It's allowed me, to be able to sit here and talk with you and really educate us, on the ways, if you will, for men and women too, but we want to focus on men tonight who look like you and
Mhm.
I. But before we really dive into that, Aaron, I have to really start at the beginning, brother. Like the story can't start without the beginning. And who is Aaron Pankey?
Absolutely.
And what inspired you, man, to get into the men's skincare and wellness industry?
For sure. So, Aaron Pankey is a newly licensed esthetician based in Durham, North Carolina. I recently got my certification from Aveda Institute in Chapel Hill, and I currently work at Clear Skin and Wellness in Durham, North Carolina under Dr. Scales, who's a very highly revered dermatologist in the area. Um, My interest for skin started pretty early on. Um, I want to say I've always had an eye for beauty and aesthetics, and I've always been very into my appearance. So, for context, I have two older sisters, and I have a grandmother who would pick me up at the bus stop every single day from like elementary school to middle school. And she would always just be adamant about reminding me that cleanliness is next to godliness. So every time I walk past her, she'd be like rubbing behind my ears. My sisters to this day are always checking my hair to make sure it's not dry or brittle or anything. And yeah, just being around that type of energy, I feel like I've always been a sponge since I was younger. So I'll just pick up little stuff here like, oh, I'm gonna start using shea butter. I'm gonna start using this type of sunscreen, stuff like that. My mom was also really into Mary Kay and stuff like that. So kind of started there without me realizing it. And then I got to middle school and my older sister, she's 7 years older than me. She was experiencing a lot of bad acne at the time. And I
Mhm.
didn't want to experience that. So trying to be proactive, I immediately went to YouTube, like how to start searching it, like how to take care of acne and how to take care of skin, specifically black skin. And
Right.
at like 12 years old, I developed my first skincare regimen. And it really started there. And it just kind of, like I said, I'm 25. So over the last 25 or so years, I'm sorry, 12 years since then, it's just gone deeper and deeper. And I didn't really ever consider aesthetics as a career. I've
Right.
always been a music-based person. Like I'm a producer, DJ, songwriter, all the things. But I started to notice that a lot of my female friends and my male friends would hit me like, "Hey, like, what do you put on your skin? Like, what are you doing that has it looking however it looks to them?" And I didn't really think anything about it till last year. I was just kind of just looking at my reality, knowing that I want to do music, but I have to, in order to do music, I have to work a job, of course, until that
Right.
does whatever it's going to do. But at the time, I was working at a restaurant, and restaurants are just not really my type of environment. So I was like, what are some other things that I'm into? And I just, with most things, I look back to when I was younger and I was like, oh, I've always been into skin to some extent. So
Right.
I just kind of like impulsively jumped off the edge and was just like, let me go to aesthetic school and see what's going on there. And I didn't really have any expectations. I just did it because I knew it was different. I knew it would be something that I was already interested in. And I knew that
Right.
I had interest in expanding my knowledge base. So I
Mm.
started there and then I fell in love with it. And then it opened up my entire world to the possibilities of what it could do for myself and for other people that look just like me.
I really love the curiosity and the drive because you sound like you've already had that, like and there was a not necessarily not a love, but a seed was planted, you know, from
Mm.
your childhood. But when you talk about regimen, because I think that's for some people that could be very cumbersome or very challenging to have a full blown regimen. So for you, Aaron, like what does part of your regimen look like, and is it just one part of the day, or is this something that we, especially as men of color, should be working on throughout the day to kind of keep our skin,
Mhm.
keep that glow and keep that shine?
Yeah, a lot of people do see it as like another thing to add to their daily list of tasks, but for me, it's
Mhm.
always I never really had that problem with it. When I started early on, once I started to see the results after like spending 3 to 4 weeks being consistent, once
Mhm.
I started to see those results, it was like I don't see a reason to go back, you know? It's like once you
Right.
get a Porsche, you don't necessarily want to go back to the Honda. So
That's
it
right.
was that type of it was that type of thing for me. And it grew to be more of like a mindfulness thing, like taking
Right.
care of myself, taking care of my body, whether it be in the gym or with my skin. It's always been a practice of reconnecting with myself, just slowing things down and being present. So I typically early in the morning before I head out the door, I have my own routine, and at night I have my own routine. And the routine varies for the person. So what works for me
Mhm.
may not work for somebody else,
Right.
but the routine is the name of the game. Like being an esthetician is funny. I'll go in and I'll work with clients and they think I can just fix everything. And I'm like, this is just step one. Like this
Right.
little treatment is not going to do a whole lot if you go home and you eat terribly or you don't put anything on your skin or
Right.
whatever. Like it's a process. I'm just kind of here to assist you. So I think it's imperative that Black people develop their own routine that fits their specific skin type,
Mhm.
primarily because there are a lot of myths and a lot of miseducation surrounding how Black people handle skin and how Black people's skin react to life.
See, 'cause you walked right into my next question then, because like you said, we all have melanated skin, right? Yeah, but like you hit it on the head. Like I mean, just
Mhm,
you and I, we both look different. We're built different. I'm a little maybe a little more wiser, a little more older, and all of these things though. But we all in our own homes, like you said, because I'm listening to you when you were talking. Me too, being the youngest at the time of five, and having aunts and,
mhm.
and sisters and things. Uh, there are a lot of myths that we have, and what have you so far, you know, or what have been the most persistent ones, I should say, or acts have you encountered so far, and how do you go about breaking them down? Both in your practice and also I see you do it through digital content as well. So how do you kind of break
Mhm.
it down, these myths and conceptions for people when you're dealing with them?
There's a lot of myths. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I think the first one, we always hear like Black don't crack. And
Hey,
I don't that's
hey.
not true. It's not true. Unfortunately, I wish it was true, but um realistically, Black does indeed crack. It cracks a little bit slower than skin that doesn't produce the same amount of melanin. But Black
Hmm.
skin can look just as cracked or whatever unhealthy as any
Hmm.
other races, skin tones can look.
Right.
So I think that's the main thing. A lot of people Another big one is this misconception that Black people don't need to wear sunscreen, and that's the
Mm.
thing that leads to Black skin cracking. So a lot of people think
Mhm.
like oh, like our melanin like blocks the sun and we're not absorbing anything. But
Oh,
the truth is that we do. It's just not at the same rate as people with fairer skin. So
right,
by using sunscreen, what sunscreen does is it primarily protects you from UVA and UVB rays, and UVA rays are the rays within the sun that promote aging. So
right.
yeah, that's like those are one of the main things. Like you'll get
I
some people coming in.
I'm gonna go to one that is prevalent in our community, especially in my day and age. And you talked about your grandparents or whatever you are licking behind, lick their finger and wet behind your ears or the ash on your elbow. Let's just talk about
Yeah.
ashy. Ashy Larry. Ashy Larry is like everywhere. He's
Ashley
prevalent.
Larry,
Like,
man,
what
to
what
this
are we
day.
doing with that?
I mean, like with ashiness, so I think okay, to answer that and follow up with what I was just talking about with misconceptions, like there's a
Mhm.
lot of things that we do to treat our bodies that we should not do to treat our face. So for
Mm,
me, when it comes to like the ashiness on my body, I use just
mhm.
regular African shea butter. That's what's always worked for me. To this
Right.
day, I just go to the beauty store, get the big tub of the yellow stuff, and never had a problem. But I wouldn't recommend anybody put that on their face because for
Mm,
me at least, I wouldn't recommend that, especially if your face is a lot more oilier. The way that
mhm,
shea butter is designed, it can promote more oil production, or rather, it could clog your pores due to the
mm.
fattiness of the product. So,
Okay.
shea butter, body butters, stuff like that, really great for your skin, but or really great for your body skin. But the skin that you have in your body and the skin that you have on your face are two separate things that react
Mm.
differently based
Interesting.
on the way that they're exposed to the world.
Mm. That's very true because I know I naturally oily face. I can sometimes during the day I can just and I'm looking like where'd all this come from, and that is by
Mhm,
design though generally like I said because your face a lot of times is really more I guess is beat on more because it doesn't have cover like your arms or
mhm.
your legs and that is that a natural safety I guess device for the body itself though to help keep your face more I guess the oil is considered moisture. Is that a natural
Mhm.
thing from that standpoint?
It is a natural thing, and
Mm,
it's especially more prevalent in men. So I
mm.
believe it's tied to like testosterone levels. So
Gotcha.
typically you'll see more men that have oilier skin or combination skin. Like for me, I have my skin is like a little bit drier on my cheeks, but then like right here and right here, extremely
Mhm.
oily. That's where I get all my blackheads. My pores
Right,
look a little bit wider,
right.
stuff like that. So it does act as a barrier to some extent, but it's when it gets to the point of overproduction, that's when it's like,
Mm,
okay, what can we do to dial this back? Because if you don't, you'll experience like enlarged pores or blackheads and a whole lot of stuff that most people aren't too fond of.
mm. So just thinking about because I reading about you and what you do with Dr. Scales. Dr. Scales is definitely one of the leading uh men in this area for men of color. But I
Mhm,
remember saying somewhere that you mentioned that skincare is not a luxury or a gendered ritual. I think was the term,
mhm,
but it's definitely a vital part of self-care and self-worth. And I agree with that because look, let's just call it the better you feel or you think you look makes you feel better, right? But
absolutely.
how do you navigate those conversations with men though who feel because we have a population or a group of our men that don't feel that skincare is necessary and it's not for them,
Mhm.
and what strategies maybe have proven most effective in shifting that mindset, when you're talking to men who have that view.
Um, it made me think of this one interaction. So when I first got licensed, I ran into an old friend from high school, a male friend from high school who I had not seen in 6 years. And of course, he like, "Hey, how you been? What you been up to?" And I told him that I just graduated aesthetic school. Then when I said that, his eyebrow raised, like, "Why are you like, why? What made you decide to do that?"
Right.
And then, but his younger sister was right next to him, and then she cut him off. It was like, "I mean, look at him. Do you see his face? It's perfect."
Mm,
I don't think that to be true, but whatever she said got into his head because he DM'd me later, like, "Hey, what should I put on my face? You have any
mm,
recommendations for what I should put on my face?" So that
mm,
raised eyebrow went. down when, of course, he
Yeah.
saw that the opposite sex is like, oh, that's something that I noticed. But outside of that, like I don't really experience a whole lot of eyebrow raises or pushback from clients or from people around me. It's just more so just like questions as to why I got into it. And then my immediate response is like, it's all health based. Like it's all health based. Your
Right.
skin is your largest organ on your body. That's a
True.
fact. Like it's your largest organ
Right.
on your body. Your
Yeah.
skin says so much about you that words may not say. So from the
Mm.
minute I look at someone, I'm like, oh, you have a sugar problem, or you didn't get any sleep, or maybe you should put down the cigarettes. Like little stuff like that, you can really pick up from just
Wow.
looking at someone's face without having any type of conversation. So it
Man,
quickly
look.
like it's like I just switch it from like a vanity perspective to more of a health perspective and just reminding people, male, female, everything in between and beyond, that it's about honoring your body, like honoring your temple. I feel like we get into spaces where we're thinking about getting through certain doors and like accomplishing certain goals, and we forget, we neglect our body is the vehicle that's literally going to turn the door and open it for us to walk
Mm.
in and get the opportunity. So it's like
Wow.
it's very easy to be in your head about certain things, just visualize things. Just like mental health is important, of course, visualizing is important, but it's like let's not forget the thing that actually literally gets you from point A to point B. Or you can start with your skincare.
Man, that's powerful right there. Now he got me looking at myself in the camera, like, man, I need to. I'm a little puffy. I need some sleep.
No, you
Yeah,
look
but
great. You look great. You look great.
yeah, I appreciate it, bro. But yeah, that is powerful though, and that is something. And I don't want to minimalize it, but sometimes the simplest things we overlook and we take for granted, and that is really key because this organ really does uh allow you, because that's really the first thing we have to go on, right? Is a visual, and we're visual creatures, and how your skin and how you look and how you take care of yourself, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, is what someone's impression of you is. And that's the first thing that we have to go on. And it also makes me think, just from my childhood to now, how the beauty and wellness industry really never really, until probably more recent, included people of color, like you and I. And really, as a black male esthetician, like you said, I hear the story, your friend like hitting you up, man, but like, what other challenges, that maybe you face that you can talk about, uh that really, like, because it sounds like for you, you're very positive, and you like to create, opportunities not only for yourself and others like you through education and conversation. So are there any other, challenges that you face that you had to break down for people and really put a different spin on it to educate them?
You cut out for like 3 seconds just now. Could you just repeat that
Okay.
really quick?
Yeah, yeah. So, like, have there been any other conversations that you can think of that you've had with other men or women, just educating them, just to kind of change their mindset, on how to really get into a regimen? Or have you been able to share tips, or any tips that you can share right now with anybody watching or listening to this, that they can really start using tomorrow, like you said, to get on that journey? Because it's not going to happen overnight. We got to go on
Mhm.
that journey. Any tips that you can share?
I think a lot of people don't necessarily see the importance of skincare. And again,
Mm,
going back to what I say, a lot of people may just see it as like a vanity thing. Um, but to me, it's a lot deeper than that. Like I said, it's about honoring your body, all the things. But then people will come and just look for a quick fix and think that like, oh, if I buy this product, then I'm gonna be good, right? Like I'm gonna have the clear skin. I'm gonna look like how they look like on
mm.
TikTok. And that's not necessarily the case. And kind of like what I
Right.
was saying earlier, like you can come into my space and I can give you these treatments. But if you're not following a routine when you get home, then you're just wasting your money realistically. But also outside of your routine, a lot of people don't understand how important your lifestyle is when it comes to your skin health and your overall just well-being. Like uh back to the cigarette smoking, the alcohol, even as deep as getting into like your daily diet. What type of food do you eat? Are you eating processed foods or eating whole foods? And that shows on your face. And I think like I think of my face, my skin being kind of like a roadmap. of like where I sit in regards to alignment with my mind and body, if that makes
Mm.
sense. Like when my
Hmm.
skin starts looking a certain type of way, I can easily look back and like think, oh, well, I haven't been going to the gym recently, or I have been staying up to 2 a.m. working on X, Y, and Z, or like maybe I should drink a little bit more water. So I think like, yeah, people underestimate the lifestyle impact, the impact that your lifestyle has on your overall skincare, and they think
Hmm.
that, hey, if I just buy this really expensive product, or I see all these other people buying this stuff, then I'm gonna just grab that, or I'm gonna just get this really expensive treatment, and I'll be good. And like, it may look
Right.
cool for like a couple days or a couple weeks, but like as soon as you pick up that cigarette, as soon as you start drinking when you're not supposed to be drinking, eating when you're not supposed to be doing, even being around people you're not supposed to be around, that raise your cortisol levels, and now you're stressed out all the time. We see that. So we see all of that. So yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of the mind body being in one accord.
You bring up some interesting points too. So with skincare, because like I said, you work with Dr. Scales, who's a gentleman who's been doing this for quite a while, and I'm curious to know, as a mentor and someone who you maybe a confidant that you can talk to, like, have you guys had an opportunity to talk about how from where he started in the skincare business to today, like some of the changes and advancements that have really happened to really help it become more effective, uh, more of an effective treatment really for men of color? And have you seen an increase, or has there been more of an increase in men of color actually getting into the skincare game?
Um, Honestly, I learned more from Dr. Scales observing him. He's a very like
Mm,
quick paced, on the go type of person. But I will say from my own observation, there's definitely been an increase,
good.
specifically within people around my age, a little bit older. It's been more of a trending thing online within, I want to say I want to say within the recent 5 or so years, I've seen more people online, more men, more younger Black people, putting a little bit more emphasis toward their overall hygiene and their care.
Mm,
Um, and I think there's a correlation between that and the fact that we are seeing more Black-owned skin brands, Black-owned products that are popping up within the beauty industry, which kind of helps demystify a lot of the misconceptions that have been passed on for years. Like for a long time, a lot of Black people thought that they couldn't receive certain treatments just because somebody that don't look like us told us that, and that's not the case. They just weren't asking the right people, or they weren't offered access to the right resources to educate themselves about how to handle their skin. So I'm sure there has been a lot of uh growth. I'm fairly new to it, even in my observation within the last 5 or so years, but I will say I definitely have seen a trend in which Black men specifically, but Black people in general, have been gravitating to taking care of their skin and just getting a little bit deeper into that journey.
so I want to also add into, so when we talk about skin though, like we talking about hair and everything else too, right? Because I mean that is part of that skincare. And
Mhm.
for a minute, beards and things seem like it's been a boom in our community. We want to go back to,
Yeah.
I guess, our kings and queens, of that time. But like, well, is there anything different that you should be doing with your hair? Oh, when it comes to that type of health and wellness versus your skin, because I mean, like, hair is kind of like an extension of your skin, isn't it? If I'm correct.
Yeah. I'm
Mhm.
not super versed when it comes to
Okay.
hair. That's more of
Mhm.
cosmetology, but
Okay.
definitely, I mean, it's a similar thing though. Like our hair textures are definitely, they're gonna be different. When you look at it,
Right.
we could be cousins and our hair texture is gonna be different.
Right.
But with
Right.
skincare, it's the same thing as it is
Got
with
you.
hair care, where it's like once you know what it is that you're dealing with, you get the products that
Product
specifically
for it.
make sense for that. So like
Mm.
I'm while I was in school to be an esthetician, the school that I was at was also a cosmetology school. So once I
Okay.
got my skincare right, I was going to all my my classmates on the cosmetology side, like, hey, can you help me figure this out? But yeah, I would say I was saying the same way with skin. It's imperative that you first you sit, look in the mirror, feel your hair, feel what's going on with your hair, identify like where you sit on the texture scale, what your porosity is. There's a whole bunch
Right.
of stuff. And then you buy products based on that. Otherwise, you'll be treating something that you don't necessarily need to treat. And I think like another thing that does tie skin with hair is black people, we wear do-rags, we wear bonnets, we wear scarves, all the
Yeah.
things. But if you're
Yeah.
not washing your scarf, you can't be mad when your forehead is irritated from wearing all these
Mm,
products and trying to take care of yourself. So being
yeah.
sure to wash your bonnets, wash your do-rags, wash all your stuff, wash your pillowcases, all
Yeah.
that.
For that part. Yeah. Well, and it's something again, something so simple that we take for granted. And it's like, I mean, I've never had to wear a do rag anything like that, but I know when it comes to pillowcases. I mean, as you know, you're outside and you got the pollen and everything, and it's in your hair. And if you don't wash your hair at night and you lay down on your pillow, then you want to know why your allergies are because you got your face in your pillow and all of these different
Exactly.
things. But definitely take care of the things that you use, your tools, if you will, to take care
Hmm.
of your hair and your pillow and everything. But time really flies, Aaron, because ladies and gentlemen, we've been sitting here, we've got to meet Aaron Pankey. This brother has been phenomenal, but as we come to the backside of this conversation, Aaron, like what's in store for you? What else do you see yourself venturing into? I mean, you like you said, in the game, but you sound like you're pretty deep and you're well versed. But what do you see for yourself moving forward?
Man, I mean, the goal with this, like I've been saying, it's just I want to eradicate the idea that taking care of yourself is a gendered conversation. It doesn't
Love
mean
that.
that you're not extra feminine because maybe you have a skincare routine, maybe you get your nails done, whatever. It doesn't make you any of that. It just means that you acknowledge that you have a body and that you're taking care of that body. I want
Mhm.
more black men to be open up to the idea of taking care of themselves. And I want people to realize like getting a facial or like going to an esthetician or dermatologist isn't just about relaxing and kicking your feet up. Like we're actually trying to help you. And my whole thing with being a black male doing this thing is like there's enough stuff in the world that kind of, you know, take a chink out of our self-esteem. And when you talk to people, one of the main things that'll like lower someone else's self-esteem is how they look when they look in the mirror. So if you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, then you go outside and they don't like what they see. It's like it's a weird reality to
Real.
kind of exist
That's
in.
real.
So trying to create a space where even if the world out there is kind of confused about who you are and what you are based on what you look like, or they may treat you a certain type of way because you look a certain type of way, at
Right.
least when you look in the mirror, you know you have a high level of self-concept, self-esteem, and self-respect and self-love for yourself. So I think through my services, the main goal is to try to help people with their self-love journey, help people with their overall wellness journey, and just push the conversation forward more than anything.
Real quick, do you have any social media or anything where you want to share that our audience can get behind and reach out to you?
Absolutely. First, I want to say thank you again for having me on your platform. This means a whole lot to me, for sure. Being able to talk to someone that looks like me, understands what I'm saying, and is like
Yes, sir.
encouraging means a whole lot to my journey. Y'all are interested? Instagram at Skin with Aaron, literally SKINWITHAARON. And yeah,
Okay. But we're gonna make sure that we put that in the show notes so we can make sure we have everybody reach out, IG, Skin with Aaron. All right. Reach out. Look, sisters, aunties, grandmas, whoever, you got a little
everybody.
somebody in the family that could need some help. There you go. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another episode of Two Mics Up. We've been here with Aaron Pankey tonight. And I thank you all for taking time out of your schedule to sit here and rock with us. And you know how we do each and every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the number one network for positive programming, the Mogul TV Global Network, and streaming now on my Infusion TV channel. You can watch us by downloading the free Mogul TV Global app, on your Roku or Amazon TV device. Get it while it's free, or you can watch the playback on our YouTube channel at 8:30. And then look, you know how we do at the end of every show. I'm gonna leave you with three things. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mike's out.